but I started slipping. There's carbs in this house. So when I was on the road, I could control my environment much better, you know.
Michael, how did you find carnivore?
Well, little bit of a roundabout way, kind of through the internet, of course, but way back in the 80s, I remember my older brother mentioning, I saw him eating some hot dogs without the bun. I said, "What's up with that?" He said, "Well, the bread makes you gain weight. That's carbs. You could lose weight, without the carbs." I said, "Okay." I didn't think much about it at the time because I was super skinny then, and whatever. And then my older brother, he was 4 years older than me. He's passed away a while back. He was starting to get insulin resistance where I wasn't yet, and he actually ended up passing of a heart attack. And there were some other bad lifestyle things that he was into, and including cigarettes, But he died at the age of 48 of heart attack, and that of course, that gets your attention. But then, of course, the shock of it passes, and then you continue on eating crap. But yeah, so I had heard of Atkins, and I remember eons ago on the news they had a doctor on, and he said, "Yeah, but you're going to have a heart attack." Okay, and I believe that because we all believe that. And then they come out with another study, and they said, "Well, really, the only reason the Atkins is working for people is because they're actually eating less calories when you balance it out." Well, I mean, maybe that's true, but then you have to ask the question, why are you eating less calories? Because you're less hungry? I don't know. Anyway, and then many years later, so I didn't get heavy until I was in my 30s, but I was at a Barnes and Nobles. That used to be the big bookstore chain in the United States. I don't know about worldwide. And I saw a book by William Davis, Dr. William Davis, Wheat Belly. And I wasn't really looking for it. It just jumped out at me. And I thought, that's probably what I got. And I read that, and it's a great book. So everybody listening, Dr. William Davis. And I learned about how detrimental it is and all that. And the visceral fat, how dangerous that is. And I knew I had a wheat problem because I'm basically allergic to wheat. But anyway, I wasn't ready to quit wheat. And then years later, I revisited. I was trying to lose weight, couldn't do it, and then I revisited Wheat Belly online this time on the YouTube, and then that morphed into I saw. Let me think, a few people: Jason Fong, Dr. Jason Fong, kidney expert, diabetes expert, and then it was Gary Fettke, who isn't he an Australian like you or New Zealander? He went through all his losing his license, and then all the guys, Tim Noakes, Robert Lustig, and then I got a couple books on audiobooks. And everybody's too lazy to read real books now. It's audio. So Gary Thomas, Good Calories, Bad Calories, I think. That's a pretty deep book. You can't just read that in a minute. You gotta get through it. And Nina Teicholz, I forget. And I learned about this bad seed oils, and then how we came about the guidelines and the uh, all this stuff, right? Ansel Keys and the whole horror story about that. And so then I heard the term keto, and I started doing keto, which morphed into carnivore. But let me backtrack just a bit. So back in 2015, 16, I'm driving a semi truck. I'm over the road. And then I want to lose weight. So I had this fitness app somebody showed me. It's called My Fitness Pal. It's actually a very ingenious app, although it doesn't work because it's based on like Weight Watchers style. Uh, they got Weight Watchers in Australia. Same thing.
Yeah. Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig,
Okay.
all of those.
All that. So you type in, and you can even scan the barcode with your phone of what the calories and whatever. So I enter in, okay, I weigh 295, I'm 6'2", yada yada. It says, okay, you can have 1,800 calories, and something like that. And okay, well, that was actually doable. I did that, and after a week or so, I lost a little bit of weight. I don't remember how much. So you enter in your new information. Well, now I'm like 4 or 5 pounds less, And now it says, oh, now I'm only allowed 1,700. And I was horrified. And it seems silly now because I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Obviously, I'm in a calorie deficit. So that's why I'm losing weight. But now you're cutting me to 17. So I do that. A couple weeks later, 16, 15. And I'm starving. I'm at 9 o'clock at night trying to go to sleep. I'm starving. So I eat a can of cold green beans because I figure that's not going to hurt me. Then it cuts me to 1,400. And I was like, okay, this is so stupid. I know what's going on here. These people are not stupid. They know your metabolism is slowing down, which is why I'm getting cold, I'm hungry, I'm grouchy, I'm ready to kill people. And well, I can't do that. And so I thought, well, that's why Weight Watchers doesn't work. Weight Watchers works really good for a few weeks, whatever. Anyway, so then I eventually, yeah, I got on the keto thing briefly. So I'm eating steak. So I'm traveling in a semi truck. And for those you don't know, you got the whole sleeper, you got a bunk, you got a microwave if you want, freezer, whatever, all that, stereo system, television. So I got ribeyes in the freezer. I thaw them out, and I had a Coleman grill I would put on the back of the truck, outside the truck, grill up steaks, and I was doing that mostly OMAD. So I was trying to eat, and I didn't plan this; it just happened. Um, like usually 4 in the afternoon, I might start nibbling on some cheese or something or other, maybe a gas station hot dog, which I've learned is a bad idea. And then I would cook steaks after I stopped. Okay. Also, let me just add one thing. I had a couple dogs in the car in the truck. They started eating carnivore. One of them was a little 8-pound Chihuahua, beautiful old dog. He was old. He was like 18, but he was in good shape. But when I got him, his breath was terrible. His teeth were bad, and he only weighed 6 pounds. He didn't look emaciated, but he was really tiny. But anyway, I got his teeth fixed. They had to do the vet thing. They had to pull out 3 or 4 teeth, fix him up, and then he went on like straight carnivore. And he gained 2 pounds of straight muscle. 2 pounds on a 6 pound dog, that's a lot. And there was no fat at all. It was all muscle. And he was healthier than ever. And his breath was good. But he's passed away since now. But then, so when I was in the truck, I started doing keto, and I had big salads and I had meats, and I started eating more salad than I had really ever eaten before. Vinaigrette dressing, cucumbers, lettuces, spinach. And then, but after a couple days or something, I had the worst stomach pain of my entire life. I felt like somebody punched me in the stomach. It was so bad. It wasn't acid indigestion. It was just absolute, just pain. And I have to think it was from the spinach because I never used to eat spinach. Anyway, one day I ran out of vegetables and I'm parked out in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, well, I guess I'll just eat a little extra meat. And so I just never bought vegetables again. I didn't plan that. So I'm 6'2". I, um, I got fairly big shoulders, although the rest of me is like my legs are thin, everything, but the big gut and the middle around me, my chest. So 6'2", I was 295. I was pretty sure I was a little over 300 probably, but I didn't have a scale then. So 295, I did the carnivore and I got down to 223 about at the lowest. I was feeling really good. People noticed how I looked good, and even just strangers, other truck drivers would be like, wow, dude, how do you stay so thin? I said, oh, Lord, believe me, I'm not usually like this. And anyway, so I'll get to, so that's where I was at. Now, that was 2018, 2019, part of 2020. I was like down there. I went back up to like 230, but I pretty much stayed there. Okay. And I wasn't super strict. I was cheating every few weeks. I was eating crap. Anyway, let me go back a little bit to like how I got here. So what happened, what it was like, what it's like now. Um, so I'll be 61 in a few weeks. I was born in 63. I live about an hour from Chicago, small town, about 20,000 people. But regular family, 5 other siblings. We ate the standard American diet, and so We didn't eat as bad as some people, but at this in the late '60s is when I start remembering. People ate at home more. But my mom would try to do, we would have meat, we would have potatoes and vegetables and breads. And then not very adventuresome with the vegetables. You would get green beans out of the can, baked beans, peas, rice, or what am I saying? Carrots, whatever. A lot of bread, a lot of pasta, a lot of macaroni. I since learned that macaroni and pasta are cheap, which is one of the reasons we had it a lot. I mean, but we did the thing. And I remember some meals where money was tight, although they didn't tell us that. We would have like macaroni, Kraft macaroni and cheese, big, huge bowl of that, and then toast. And we thought that was the greatest thing ever. Now, oh my God, that you know how bad that is now? That's diabetes in a box. So we did the thing, sugared cereals, all that. But back in my youth, I was skinny. When I graduated high school, GED, if you want to be technical, but I was 6 foot tall and 149 pounds, 151 maybe. That's it. I was so skinny. Used to get teased a lot, used to get bullied. But gradually I put on a little more weight, like say 175 or something. So at least I didn't look too emaciated. But anyway, I was insulin sensitive, I have since learned. So I could burn everything off. And now I realize it's not just that I was burning it off. My insulin levels were probably already starting to rise just a touch, but I didn't know it. So there you go. So, okay. But I developed a terrible alcohol problem starting at the age of like 14. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. I've been sober for many years now. And drinking all that alcohol probably also didn't help my liver or insulin resistance things at all. You know what I mean? Even though I wasn't getting fat, I was probably damaging my body. And anyway, but at the age of, so in 1992, I got clean and sober. I was 29 years old. I was pretty young for that, but I was just beat down. Just couldn't, the legal, couldn't stay out of jail, couldn't do whatever, couldn't hold a job. So I quit. And then a year after I got clean and sober, I quit smoking cigarettes. And I already had chest pains. My body doesn't like toxins that much. I mean, see, some people never quit smoking because they don't have many symptoms. I was 28, 29, and I already had like bad lungs. And I just thought, whoa, I quit. Okay. But carbs are harder because you don't have to drink alcohol. You certainly don't have to smoke anything, but you got to eat. Okay. So I ate and I ate and I ate. And I didn't start gaining weight until I was about 34, 35, had a little bit of weight. And my sister, who she has struggled with weight her life, and she's younger than me, but one day she saw a little fold of fat and she started laughing hysterically. She was practically rolling on the floor laughing. And she said, I've been waiting for this my whole life. She said, now you're going to get fat like me. And I said, well, okay. And then, but gradually it came on, So I get up to so it took about 5 years, 6 years. I was probably 38 or so, and I got up to like 265. And for me, I know some of you people listening, like you ever heard Carnivore Kip? He's on YouTube. But he's 400, he was 500 pounds. Now he's 400, 380 or whatever he is. He's trying to get down to 265, but he's a bigger guy than me, but I can't carry that kind of weight. My ideal weight should probably be, I really don't know, 210, maybe, I don't know. And so anyway, let's see. So I tried to, I would try to lose a little weight. I got down to 240 and I kept it there for quite a long time. And then now I used to do all kinds of different work, all kinds of different lines of work. Eventually I started driving a semi truck in 2003. And now I can't blame a semi truck on me getting really big because I was already gaining weight a lot even before driving. So in 2003 I started driving, and then and I was married for a while, and my wife at the time, she had some weight struggles too. and then we didn't know how to eat. We didn't know. But anyway, we ended up splitting up in 2010, and then at that point, I have a daughter who's grown up on her own from my first marriage, but I didn't have any reason to be home, and I was making good money. I didn't have any bills, so you know, after a divorce and bankruptcy and whatever, I just went out and drove the country everywhere. And I stayed gone forever. And I ate like, oh my God. I spent one time I was going to go through some bank records, but I got so depressed I couldn't do it. It was tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I probably spent 40,000 in a year on food. I'm telling you, it was not uncommon for me to hit a Waffle House or Pancake House in the morning, eggs, all that. Eat gas station, truck stop food all day long, drinking Pepsi all day, going to a restaurant at night. Every insane. And I got to where I was buying two entrees. I couldn't get full. I go to a restaurant, I can't decide. Should I get this or that? I'll get them both. I'll get two entrees. I'll take one, eat it later. And I could not get full. And my addiction, and I'm well aware of addiction. I'm an expert on addiction, believe me. And I've helped other people get out of addiction. But food, carb addiction, man, it gets you by the short hairs. and it's where that's all you want to eat. Nothing else sounds good. So okay, so I kept getting bigger and bigger, and that's when was I already talking about the MyFitnessPal app? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tried that thing, nothing worked. And I had a fridge in the truck too, but I used to carry, but for a while there, it was just like peeing into the wind. I didn't know what to do. So I thought it was healthy to get out of bed, eat yogurt, which had sugar in it, cans of pineapples and cans of pears. Now they were packed in water, not fruit juice, but they're still just sugar. And drink milk and then wonder why I'm still starving. And I would eat poor quality meats, deli meat and whatever. But I would just always be hungry. Um so anyway, that takes me, so at this time, this is 20, yeah. So from 2010 till 2018, I was just like the pig, an absolute pig. Um so let me talk about symptoms. So that's why we're here. One of the reasons we're here. So what happened? In my younger days, not too many symptoms, so I thought, but mental issues. I've struggled with addiction, of course, and then depression, crushing depression, anger issues, which is related to depression, anxiety, and I used to get to where one of the reasons I started driving a truck maybe is because I couldn't get along with people, and and years passed in my 20s. I would take lithium at times. This job I was working at, I did a really good job. They didn't want to get rid of me because I was really good. And but I would argue with everybody, you know what I mean? And I don't hold a grudge. It would be over and done with. But I argued with everybody. And I got suspended. They told me to get it together, And I ended up started taking lithium, which is a mood stabilizer. And I don't have anything bad to say about lithium, except for you can kind of get fatigued after it starts wearing off. And it helped me a lot, stabled me. I was able to, it helped me. And I eventually did get fired from that job, but that was whatever, man. But different thing, Wellbutrin, Prozac, mood stabilizers, whatever. And, no, I haven't taken anything like that in 20 years, some 20 years. So it's always that chicken or the egg. It's like, well, I started driving a semi, and I still have to deal with the public, but it's not like working in a shop or an office with a bunch of people. So sometimes I wonder, am I really better now, or is it just because I changed jobs? You know what I mean? Or am I better just because I got older? I really don't know. So sometimes I think, maybe I'm not better. Maybe if I went back into the same old work environment, maybe I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know. I can't worry about it now. So, but I think a lot of that was caused by metabolical things, and sugar crashes, and oh my God. So it's like you get out of bed and eat donuts, and you think that's not going to have an effect. Well, yes, it is. Um, so anyway, let me symptoms like that, But skin rashes, I started getting later on. Mysterious dermatitis, and especially on my legs and feet, would itch to high heaven. Dermatologists couldn't tell me anything. They would be like, "Yeah, we don't know, but put some cream on it." Okay, I had this, but arthritis was one of my main symptoms, and one of the things that makes me want to keep doing carnivore. Terrible arthritis. My dad was crippled with arthritis and osteoporosis, and he had insulin resistance, but we didn't know it. He was what you call skinny fat. Okay, I'll get back to him. But arthritis terribly, especially in my hands and that's the worst of it. And then everywhere else. I've had 2 foot surgeries. And this was not because of an accident or not because of athlete. I'm not a bad athlete, and but I had a joint in my left foot. I had it fused. There's a big steel plate in it. So between a couple of the biggest bones in your foot, the arthritis just destroyed the cartilage in between them. It was terribly painful. Could barely walk on it. And then the plate they put in is there with the screws, but the fusion, it didn't exactly heal as well as they would have wanted to. But not it's there. It's okay. But I can't hike anymore really so much. But and then I had another surgery on my other ankle. I had what's called tarsal tunnel syndrome. It's brought about by inflammation, and the doctors were like, we don't know why." Oh my God, painful surgery, And so I'm thinking, well, what's next? What is my hip going to fall apart? So that arthritis keeps going, and so a while back, actually many years ago, I had some crippling arthritis in my wrist, and they swelled up, and I literally could barely drive. I was driving with my arms, and I was wearing wrist braces, especially at night. Arthritis. Doctors didn't know why, and then it went away. So arthritis is weird like that. Any of you listeners probably know it can come about where you think you're going to die, and then it goes away. And you think, and it's really never returned that bad in my wrist, but it's there. So you think to yourself, well, where did it go? Well, it's not gone. It's there underneath the surface. It's chemically, whatever is going on, it's eating away at your cartilage. You're losing bone. It's osteoporosis. Okay, that's one of my major things. I don't want to end up with the crippling, all that. Acid reflux. This is a broken record, Dave. Everybody you talk to probably acid reflux. Oh my God. And I always knew wheat was the main culprit, but pretty hard to avoid wheat when you're doing the thing. Always had baking soda and water, Malox, Tums, Rolaids, always at the ready. And then I started taking Prilosec. Prilosec works. It's a wonder drug. It really is. It works. Although we learned, I think it causes osteoporosis later on or something. It's terrible. Always the Prilosec, and just crippling. And I thought the Prilosec's not good, but it's probably not good to be burning your esophagus and get burning with that. So that's a major thing. And then the other thing, of course, another thing people always tell you, Dave, is IBS, not officially diagnosed, but loose poop issues, man. We got to talk about poop. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. So, and I mentioned I'm a truck driver. So some of you go long periods of time. You never go number 2 in a public bathroom. You always wait till you get home, generally, unless you have to. As a truck driver, you got to get used to that. So, but it just, I would eat, and then could be half an hour later, or all of a sudden I got to go, and it's going to happen. It ain't waiting, and you can't just park an 18-wheeler just anywhere. You find yourself pulled off on an interstate ramp, and you're outside the truck, underneath the truck, park it against some trees. You're doing it, whatever. And accidents. Oh my God. And and I'll never forget the time having some terrible issue on the side of a highway, and I'm in Wyoming, which is one of our western states. High winds blows it all over me, all over my feet, my shoes. Oh my god! And this was not this wasn't a one time thing. It was awful, but I didn't know. I thought, well, I got a high metabolism. That's just what happens, So you take the Prilosec, it kills the acid, but it does absolutely nothing for your GI issues. It actually makes it worse because you're not getting the acid, you're more likely to eat even more and more carbs and stuff, and then here you are. So I'm 290 some pounds. I'm a tub of lard. Uh, Symptoms. I had this what's called pleurisy, if you've heard of that. It's an old term. It's an inflammation of the lining around the lungs. It's not inside the lungs. It's like a heaviness, and it can get painful. And if sometimes you're like, damn, I'm having a heart attack. No. And it went away on carnivore. But what's weird is sometimes you get symptoms where they go away, but you don't realize they're gone until maybe you fall off the carnivore, go back eating sugars, and then it comes back. And then you're like, oh, wow, I remember that. I haven't had that in a while. My vision is pretty good still, but I noticed it's clear on carnivore. And again, this was something I didn't know was happening until I relapsed and ate a bunch of sugars, and then I had like a little bit of cloudiness to my vision, and you could really tell. So let me just get tooth pain, even though you get checked, there's no cavities, but tooth pain, and headaches, all this kind of stuff. But let me tell you, I was lucky. Some of the people you talk to, I mean, oh my God, they've had to have bypass surgery. I mean, they're so I've been lucky. You know, I don't take any medications now, and um, let's see now. That's most of my symptoms. But the big symptom, of course, is the chronic inflammation, which I didn't know what that was until I started learning. Just it's always bloating, and I still feel bloated now because I'm still well overweight. I still feel bloated, like, and I was always taught to, put your shoulders back, have a good posture. My dad used to smack me upside the head, put your shoulders back. I think it takes 100 calories every day just to try to hold your gut in, and hold your posture. Yeah, so I started going onto the YouTube dive as we do. Started learning about the endocrine system, diabetes, all these kind of things. Started learning about Alzheimer's. So let me get to okay. So I took all that weight off. Then about 20, it was in the middle of 2020 or so. Um, I had to change jobs. My dad, who was 93 at the time, he had Alzheimer's, but it was fairly mild. I mean, he still knew what was up. He could still do what he needed to do, and but suddenly he just like dropped off the cliff, just was out of it pretty much, and started falling down and everything. And so I got off the road and I took a truck driving job right near my home, and I was home every night. So between me and my sister, we started taking care of him and my mom, who was 90. He passed away a few months later. And so let me talk about him a bit. This story is about me, but my dad is part of me, and and all of you have dads and moms. But Alzheimer's ain't no joke, and we were actually lucky with him. He didn't really fall off the cliff until he was 93. So he didn't last. Within he was gone. But some guys get Alzheimer's, when they're only 73, not 93. And then God knows how long you suffer with it. So he all you can do is medicate them. Once they get right to that end, they can't walk, they can't eat, they don't know what food is, they can't swallow. All you do, that we called the hospice, they said you just have to medicate them. You put them in a bed, you medicate them, they sleep until they run out of water. And they run out of H2O in their body, and then they die. And that's all you can do. You can't do anything. And he passed. And then at that time, like, my mom's already 90, and I thought, and she's losing her vision. And I thought, well, I can't really go back on the road. I need to stay here. So So I used to rent from my sister, which was a good deal because I was almost never home. So I moved into my mom and dad's house, and I've been here ever since. So I've been here 4 years almost. Now I did good with the carnivore for a while. I don't know how long because, and you know what? When you start stumbling, you don't want to like write it down. Okay, you don't write down this is the day I. But I started slipping. There's carbs in this house. So when I was on the road, I could control my environment much better. There was no carbs. I could sleep much better. Now, when you're driving a semi truck, electronic logging nowadays, you can't cheat like you used to with paper logs. And when you shut down for the night or whatever, whenever the time is, you have to be down for 10 hours. That truck can't move for 10 hours. So you can get out and walk or you can go do whatever you want to do. But basically, yeah, you're going to sleep a lot and watch television and go to sleep. So I got more sleep. And I was able to get up at like 6, 7 in the morning, depending on what was going on. And I could wait until 2 in the afternoon or maybe even 4 in the afternoon before I was really, really hungry. And then I would eat. So I had an eating window of, say, 3 to 4 in the afternoon till 9 at night, depending on when I was stopping. Okay. Well, that all went to hell because it's like now I get up at 3:45. I go to work. It varies. I work anywhere between 9 and 12 hours, usually 10. But I'm not tired. It's like I get home, I got chores to do, I got things to do, help with my mom. And by the time I get to sleep, it's 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes 10 o'clock at night, I'm still awake. YouTube is also a problem. But they say, oh, blue light bothers you. You shouldn't be watching videos. Well, that's the only time available I have to watch them. So in the comments, I want somebody to recommend me blue blocker glasses because I need some and I don't know where to buy them. Somebody tell me. So anyway, I get to sleep 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I'm up at 4:45 and I don't sleep well. I I still have, I don't know why, they're not nightmares, but I have tension filled sleep. I'm constantly waking up to go pee and there's always a crisis like in my dreams. You know what I mean? It's the classic thing. I can't find my car. I can't walk. I'm lost. I wake up, my heart's going. I'm sure my adrenaline goes up, the cortisol level goes up, the ketosis is probably non-existent. I mean, so and my eating window went to crap. So I get up and it's like, but by the time it's 7 in the morning, I'm starting to be really, really hungry. You know what I mean? So I slipped anyway. So I slipped and started eating carbs. But then after like getting back, going up to like say 270 pounds, depressed, the carb addiction's got me. Okay, and I'm gonna buckle down and get back on carnivore. So I do. I go back on carnivore. I get down to 245 or something for a little bit, but it doesn't last because I wasn't strict enough. Um, I am living proof that people say you're not going to overeat on carnivore. Oh yes, you can. Oh yeah. Oh, you're not going to get tired of eating steaks. Oh yeah, you can get tired of them. Oh yeah. Um, Especially if you add any carbs at all. And so when I hate cooking, but I've grown more and more intolerant of spices and all that. I'm realizing now. Okay, but then I went for a while where, let's face it, the addiction took over. The more all that, and I kind of gave up for a while. And then one day I found myself at the drugstore buying Prilosec. Oh Lord! Now you're in deep trouble when you're doing that because now you're basically giving yourself permission to be like, okay, I guess I'm fat. That's just the way it is. Okay, and then off I go. So meanwhile, um, but yeah, and then so I went for a while, still trying to do carnivore. And let me be an example to you folks. Like I would cook steaks, take them to work, and or eat steaks at night, but then to eat 2 steaks and then at 6 o'clock at night, but then turn around at 9 o'clock at night and to be eating cookies. And you can't do that. That's even worse than the standard American diet. If you're going to eat bad, go ahead and eat bad, but don't be eating ribeye steaks. You're eating 2 ribeye steaks a day along with all the other crap. Oh boy. And oh God, did I get sick? And anyway, so finally, what happened? I would say nothing super dramatic happened except for, well, a good friend of mine almost died of a heart attack. He's my age. We were in school together since we were 10. He had a heart attack, and now he smokes cigarettes still. He's my age, and he has this like in the back of his legs. He's got these blockages. Like he's taking blood thinners, and the pain is much better. And the doctors want to do surgery on him, but they put a stent in his heart. You know, But he went back to smoking cigarettes and he drinks sweet tea all day. And it's like all I can do is tell him, hey man, you got to get off that sugar, whatever. But meanwhile, I'm like a giant tub of lard telling him that, you know what I mean? So I said, boy, don't this be all. Watch me drop of a heart attack while he lives to another 20 years, which could happen. So yeah, and I would do things like I'm watching Sean Baker. This is last January. Okay, Carnivore January challenge, and I did that. Carnivore for 30 days felt great. The next day, I start screwing up. So my schedule changed, and so anybody listening, as when if it's an excuse, but let's face it, if you change jobs, maybe you move, you change locations, maybe you get a divorce, maybe you don't, maybe things change, your schedule changes. It can start messing you up. I had a routine going for a while. All right.
So just to interrupt,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's something that I think I suffer from as well, is that when I'm in a routine, when I've got the habit going and I've got momentum, I'm good. As soon as the routine is broken, I'm back to struggle street.
Yes. Yes. You know, they say you're either planning to succeed or you're planning to fail. So, what? Sometimes one time it started off as to like, okay, I go to Costco and buy meat. Well, I don't like driving to Costco because I hate shopping. It's annoying, but you got to do it. So I let myself run out of meat. That's a bad idea. And then, I don't want to buy meat just at any old place because it's too expensive. And anyway, you run out of meat. Or there's an excuse. Oh, I didn't get any thawed out. Oh, I didn't cook any. Well, now you go to work all day and you got no food with you. Oh, Lord. So now it's like, and I'm driving in Chicago almost every day, and I call it like running the gauntlet. Most any big cities like this. So you run all the way from Cicero Avenue, from all the way through Chicago. It's Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever, man. It's like everything you can possibly think of. And I looked this up. They sell euros in Australia also. GYROS. They sell those in Australia because I want to make sure you know what it is. But that's one of my favorite things. A giant, gyros, hot dogs, sausages, anything, whatever. So you leave the house without food, you're in trouble. And many of us have had that happen. You go on vacation, you let yourself go, and then when you get back home, it can be a big struggle. So one thing is, even though as big as I was, one thing I'm mourning the loss of. I was a backpacker. I love backpacking, and I would go on trips and for hundreds of miles, and camp out, do the whole thing. Like Appalachian Trail, I can't do it anymore because of that foot surgery. And then I hurt my back. I hurt my what's called a sacroiliac joint by leg pressing weight. And somebody asked me how much did you weigh? I said how much did I bench press or leg press? I don't know, but it was the whole stack, whatever it was. But anyway, the point is I can't backpack anymore, which is breaking my heart. But I can bicycle. So I've taken up bicycling and I've gone on several trips. And like I recently just did a 380-mile trip. I don't know how many kilometers that is, but it took about 5 days, through the Appalachian Mountains. And I mean, actually, it's on a rail trail, so it's not like super hilly. But when you're doing a trip like that, it's next to impossible to just be straight carnivore. I mean, you're not gonna really be able to do it. It can be done, yes. It's difficult. So I would allow myself to eat carbs, for 5 days, 6 days, get back home and get back on it. But then I got back home and I did not get back on it. I screwed up. So where I'm at today, it was October, the middle of October, just, and I was 296, 295, I think. And I went on carnivore, relatively strict, pretty strict. And I'm 260 even right now. So I'm 33 pounds down. And we all know that's the easier part to do. I'm maybe stalled just a little bit now. But one thing I did different this time is so back when I was doing the carnivore, I was always eating cheese. I kept thinking it's probably a mistake, but I kept thinking, well, it's carnivore. But I've learned I can't do it. I love cheese, but it has a sweet taste. Even the more bitter cheeses, they still have that sweet thing. And I would end up eating giant blocks of cheese all the time, and then sometimes drinking milk, and then it doesn't work. And so I've learned that just by even doing strict carnivore, if you cheat once a week, even that alone can be enough to stall your weight loss. It really can. So now this time, okay, so I'm 260 even, and just steaks now, some eggs. I have a love-hate relationship with eggs. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I can't stand the sight of them. But no cheese. So I'm doing that. Drinking water. I'll drink some sparkling water sometimes. I've had no pop. Um, okay, what else? But I have to stick to this. So I have two granddaughters. One is, oh boy, here I am. You know how grandfathers are; they never remember. One of them is 9, and the other one's 13. And my daughter's about 35. You know what I mean? And then, but I want to be. I'm single, but I want to be there for them, and I don't want them to. My dad at the end. I mean, the osteoporosis, the arthritis. He had asthma, especially younger, which was probably caused by insulin resistance. Back in the day, they used to put you on tons of prednisone to arrest an asthma deal. And the prednisone apparently causes osteoporosis. Anyway, all that kind of stuff. And he was depressed and whatever. Now, my mother is 94 now. She just turned 94. And, she's doing okay health wise, but she can't. Her vision's really getting bad. It's escalating. She has what they call dry macular degeneration. It's caused by insulin resistance, and that's why I'm guessing why, like even me, to notice like a little bit of cloudiness when I'm eating carbs. She can't change eating now. She's not. It's too late. It's not going to fix. She could go on straight carnivore. Her eyes are not going to change. I don't think. But she can't eat fat. You know what I mean? If you tried to get her to eat a piece of fat, she would literally vomit on the table. She can't eat it. Um, my sister's like that. My older sister. You know what I mean? I give her a piece of steak. I give her a steak. She cuts every bit of fat off it. And I said, eat that fat. She says, I can't eat that. It's just like, no, you know? And so, and it's not because people told her it's bad. It's just because some people just can't do it. It can get a little slimy. Let's face it. It can.
It's a texture thing, yeah? That's why I can't eat oysters for the same kind of reasons.
Yeah. So I've learned. So I found out finally. I finally tried sardines for the first time in my life, and they're not bad. They're actually a lot like tuna, a little stronger. But I throw some mustard and a little hot sauce on it to kill the taste. But they're really, really loaded with these minerals and everything. And so I wanted to eat like I should probably eat a couple, 2 or 3 tins a week. So anyway, a while back, a couple years ago, I bought half a cow. And I really don't like all the cuts of meat, but it was a much better deal. and I haven't done it since. And I need to do that. Now, let me tell you. So yeah, you can get bored with steak, but I'm becoming more sensitive, which is bothering me. I got a bad stomach. I mean, even though strict carnivore, I still can get some acids, a little bit. Like I can't deal with any garlic. A touch of garlic powder, I taste it all day. Um, so I'm like, okay, the steaks get expensive, so let me try some cheaper cuts of meat. So the other day I bought a big chuck roast, put it in the crock pot. I did use some spices, some rosemary, some garlic, some onion, no vegetables except for carrots because my mom likes them, and some beef stock. So I cooked that. Well, it tasted okay, but I'm going to tell you what: 3 straight days of nothing but diarrhea. 3 days straight, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So it's like, so one thing about carnivore, and this is an open question, when you eat strict carnivore for a while, your gut microbiome maybe changes, and you get more sensitive, you become more intolerant. And some people say, well, that's bad because you shouldn't react so violently to some spices or something. You know what I mean? But But what can you do? I mean, anybody, what the vegans will tell you that, well, if kale bothers you or whatever vegetables bother you, obviously your gut microbiome isn't right. So you need to fix that. Nobody really knows. Nobody can tell you, no expert in the world can tell you what's perfect microbiome. It's all different. Um, but anyway, I have to stay on just like salt and beef. Another thing I want to investigate is different types of cows. What is that? A1, A2? One of them is a little more, suppose some people are more allergic to like one breed of cow, one type of cow or butter than another. So even butter sometimes bothers me. And I cannot eat bacon anymore. I get acid reflux and I get diarrhea. So trying to eat enough fat. I've tried to add like a little bit of butter, like just I never really did this until like a few weeks ago. I thought, well, I'm a little hungry. I've heard people eating butter. Let me just eat a little thing of butter, which I did. One of the reasons I failed miserably is for one thing because I'm a lazy slob. That's first and foremost. But I wasn't strict enough. One little cheat thing can just totally ruin you. So the fact is, I'm going to be living in this house. There's going to be carbs in this house. I can't touch them. That's it. Um, but one thing I need to do and stop being so lazy is I want to get a CGM, which might sound silly because I don't plan on eating carbs, but still, it's not a bad idea to get a CGM, see where my glucose is. Um, I'm not going to measure ketones, I don't think, but maybe. Um, but my sleep thing needs to improve. Okay. Yes, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really getting into ketosis or not, but I'm just going to keep going like I'm going. I have to understand that there may be a stall and it may last a while, but you can't get discouraged because people do that. They stall for quite a while, but then they break through it. So I have to
Yeah.
keep.
I understand everything you're saying. Just one thing that I feel you may be being too hard on yourself is saying like you've failed
Well,
because I mean you're still looking at what you can do. You're still looking at how you can push forward with something to get you into a state where you're feeling healthier.
yes.
And I think as long as you've got that mindset, you haven't failed. Failure is going, may as
Yeah.
well eat the may as well eat the chocolate then.
No,
That's failure.
that's right. That's right. I know for, like I said, I got clean and sober. I quit smoking cigarettes. I know I have it in me to do something if I really want to. I can. And, you have to see a payoff, which I am. So right now, if I told you I felt really, really good, I don't. I feel better. Ain't no doubt about that. I feel better. 32 pounds. I feel better. But do I really feel good? No, I got a ways to go. So I probably have 50 pounds. But more so, I'm not doing it for vanity. It's those days are gone. When you get like 60, it's like whatever, man. But I don't want to feel bloated. I hate this bloatedness. I just want to feel like I can just not be so bloated. You know what I mean? A struggle, just to sit in a seat and your shirt doesn't fit right. And so let me you know what? One of the reasons way back in 2018 or whatever it was when I started really getting serious is this is a 2XL shirt and it fits me. But I found myself at Walmart one day and I had a package of 3X shirts in my pocket or in the cart, and I was getting ready to buy them. And I got halfway to the checkout line and I just thought to myself, no, this is enough. I don't need, a 3X shirt would have been super big on me, but then, so I'm tired. I was like, so my 2X shirts are fitting. It looks like a sausage casing, it feels like one too. It's horrible and uncomfortable. And I'm somebody who's always hot anyway. You know what I mean? Like I go around in a t-shirt even when it's like really cold out. And I just thought I'm not buying 3X shirts. You know what I mean? That's kind of like when you're at the drugstore buying Prilosec. You gave up. So let me get into just a few other things. Anybody listening here, you need help with this. At least I do. Like when I got sober, I had a lot of help. I still do. So, I still know people I got sober with, and we'll always be blood brothers. Um, but and Dave, I know you had to get clean too. But um, but yeah, the conferences. So go Google a conference, say low carb or whatever. Somehow I heard of it was a low carb Denver. It was in Denver. It was in 2019. It was at this big fancy hotel. It was kind of expensive, but you didn't have to stay at that hotel, but I did. And the conference, you have all these kind of speakers and lots of people from Gary Fetke was there, Paul Mason, he's from your neck of the woods down under. So many people, Barry Baker. Baker wasn't speaking. I met him in the hallway. I shook his hand. Absolutely terrifying. The guy, he's a nice guy, but I mean, he that dude is ripped. You know, you break you in half like it's nothing. I'm never going to be like a workout warrior like Sean. You know what I mean? He enjoys pain, apparently. I don't. But the point is, went to a conference, met so many people. I met Jason Fong. I met Nina Tai Schultz. I met this girl named Amy Berger, who she is a speaker and look up Amy Berger. She wrote books about Alzheimer's, especially. And I'm not sure if she had a grandmother or somebody that was close to her. For some reason, she got interested in that space, and she might be one of the first people I heard talk about Alzheimer's type 3. And so go to a conference. It's so cool because it's just like you can get that content online, but it's just different when you feel the love of the people and you just feel so good. It energizes you. And then I went to low carb something or other keto something in Houston a year or so later. That was hosted by it's an Indian guy, Nadir Nasi. Who am I talking about? He's a cardiologist. He's Indian.
Yeah, Nadir Ali.
Ali, yes, really great guy. And Ivor Cummins and so many people were there. And they premiered. Vinny Tortorich was there. Vinny is a influencer on YouTube. He's not a carnivore. He's a hardcore keto. Um, he really entertaining guy. Check out his YouTube. But he was promoting unveiling his movie. He produced a movie. He got his own funding, everything. It's called Fat, a documentary. And we saw it on the big screen at the end of the conference with like all these people in attendance. It was very powerful. And it talks about how we got where we are with the doc and the whole government guidelines and the phony fake studies and the whatever. George McGovern, who was not an evil guy, but they messed up. So, but one thing in this opening scene in the movie is a young child who is suffering seizures. He was 3 or 4, and they couldn't get rid of him. Doctors couldn't get rid of him. Medications, yeah, that surgery even. They couldn't get rid of him. The doctors told him that eventually the kid's going to be mentally retarded. Well, that kid today is 35 or so, and he's extremely healthy and intelligent and all that. What happened was his father was, he almost given up hope, but his father was in a library looking up uh, epilepsy. And he found books from 1905, 1915, or something or other talking about giving kids a carnivore diet at the time and having success. And so he did that. And I don't remember the whole story, but he did that. He gave us, get the kid carnivore. Seizures went away within a day or two, never returned. His doctors never mentioned diet to him. It's horrifying. And then, they showed some other cases, a few other, like, childhood type 1 diabetes. And the doctors told them, don't do this carnivore diet. Your kid's going to hate you. He's going to have an eating disorder. You need to feed him whatever, control it with insulin. You can't, once you know, you can't unring that bell.
Yeah, so I fully agree. Like having the community around you is so good. Feeling part of the community and going to these kind of events is awesome. Michael, look, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us, and I hope you'll come back in maybe 6 months and let us know how things are going.
Yes, I would love to share again. I'm gonna keep doing this. All right, everybody.